It's Kyle Henderson of Mboumoua Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide? I appreciate you guys being here. Good morning. Today is Feel Good Wednesday. Oh my goodness. Thank you for being on my show. I appreciate you guys. Today on the show, gonna highlight my takeaways from episode 2 of Fox Nation's The Tide That Binds. Did you guys watch it? I watched it this morning. Pretty good episode. All right, I'm gonna give you my takeaways. Alabama basketball last night, absolutely on fire, okay? Young blood, my goodness. Yo, is he lighting it up? 27 points against Mississippi State. The meat of our show will be about the defensive line and the Bandit position. And then also we'll talk about Alabama modifying its spring game. I don't know what modifications mean to the spring game. Is it going to be flag football? Is it going to be something else? I don't know. The world of college football continues to spin at this wild, crazy rate. So your guess is as good as mine. If you have ideas, I have my own ideas. If you caught my evening show last night, I presented a couple. I'll go over it again. I kind of liked my ideas. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for being here. 112,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. And I really appreciate the super chats and just the continued support on the channel. I'm an independent content creator. This is the route that I've chosen. And I love to be here with you guys every single day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Next Monday, spring football happens. We'll have news as it happens around Alabama spring football, going into its modified spring football game. I know, this is where we're at. Let me give some shout outs this morning. Herman, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. Samuel, good morning to you. Max Tooney. Nacho, Alabama, what's up, man? Carrick Taylor, my man, what's up? Sean, I see you inside the comment box as well. It's me, Marvin. Larry Large. Dwight, what's up, man? RT Tackle, what's up, Bama boy? Jay Bake, always up in here. Rancing, saying that Alabama's Ryan Williams and Jalen Mboumoua coming to Sand Mountain Amphitheater. That's what's up. Go support those guys. Broderick Colvin, what's up, man? Good morning to you. In time 61-524. What's up? Good morning. How's everybody feeling? Give me your rating of your morning on a scale of 1 to 10. All right? Is it a 10? Is it an elite start for you? Do you need Kyle Henderson's energy to kind of get you there? I'm not going to lie, mine's already a 10 out of 10. But I'm a morning person. Everybody's different. Some people don't roll in the morning. Some people, it picks up in the evening time. I don't know. I've been feeling really good lately, so I'm 10 out of 10. Have you been outside? Damn, Carrick's a 20. It's 65 degrees. Yo, man, God is good. Life is good. Take a minute to just appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot to be grateful for. And I'm happy you guys are here. All right, here we go. Alabama football is having a docu-series done on foxnation.com. How do you watch this? Okay, so what I did, and this is how I watch it. I go to Fox Nation on my phone, just the app. I downloaded it. I signed up. It's like $9.99 a month. There's going to be 6 episodes. The first 2 have been released. It was pretty easy to sign up for. And I watched it this morning. This episode was about an hour long. And what it is it goes over last season and kind of gives you an in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at Alabama football. It's, there's some profanity in there. There's some behind-the-scenes stuff in there. And this particular episode, my takeaways from this episode, I thought it was pretty good. I liked episode 1 a little bit more. But whatever, it's been good to check out. It kind of starts out with Coach Kalen DeBoer in this episode, and it's kind of before the start of the season, before they played Western Kentucky, and him explaining that he understands, the mountain that he's taking over with Alabama football and how he wants to continue to hold that standard, and that he also wants to add kind of his own wrinkles to it as well, and that he feels up for it, he's capable of it, things like that. The players, are really excited about Coach Kalen DeBoer. So it kind of starts there, and Coach Kalen DeBoer meets with some, former guys that he coached with, and it's pretty good. It shows you just how much appreciation and respect people that have worked with Coach Kalen DeBoer as friends, like they love this guy. He's a good guy, right? Very likable. It also talks about Caden Proctor and him transferring to Iowa. And when he got to Iowa, he said that he didn't hear anybody talking about winning a national championship, right? And though he's from the Midwest, he couldn't really relate with anybody at Iowa. And he said that lack of championship mentality, that didn't really sit well with him. So he came back, spoke with Coach Kalen DeBoer, probably his team as well, and he comes back to Alabama. He talks about his injury that he got pre-game to that Western Kentucky game, right? And how kind of bizarre that was, and the frustration to miss those, that first game. And then it talks about his relationship with Wilkin Formby. I said this yesterday on the show. I have seen Wilkin Formby and Caden Proctor together at like Northridge High School events. They're best friends. And Caden Proctor explains that the Formby family, who is a really great family here in Tuscaloosa, own Taco Casa, that they've taken him in. And that they're kind of like his family away from his family, right? And then it kind of transitions to Wilkin Formby in his early season struggles that he had, and how those struggles and people, what they say on social media, whatever, shows like this, how it impacts the players from like a negative standpoint. And I was thinking this, I get it. Like, these are younger guys, but as soon as you start getting paid, like, this has turned more into pros, and this is something that players are going to have to get accustomed to. Like, once you're being paid, and you're being paid a hefty amount to start with the Alabama Crimson Tide, like Coach Saban used to say, these are all like student athletes. Yo, I'm seeing them more as professional football players. And they're driving around nicer cars and living in nicer houses than you or I. And I mean, that's just it. Like, these guys are professionals, and we have a right to talk about them the way we want to. When somebody's getting paid, it's just like the NFL. Yo, you don't play well in the NFL, you're going to be criticized. I mean, this is a tiny, tiny show. Tiny. Look, we have 74 people on. If that is going to, you got to be able to block that out in next play mentality and block out that noise. But that criticism is going to come. And when you're not getting the job done, whether you're a coach or whether you're a player, you're going to hear about it, especially on this show. I'm not affiliated with the University of Alabama. The University of Alabama is never going to tell you when something goes wrong. They're not going to talk about it. You're never going to see something on like Yay Alabama talking about a player that he's not performing to the highest level. That's not it. But I'm going to tell you the truth here. And the truth is that Alabama has an issue at the right tackle position. And Wilkin Formby should hear that, because that should inspire him to put in the work and to work with Coach Kapilovic and get things done so he can be the guy that we want him to be. We want to root for this guy. A hometown guy, we want to root for him 100%. But if he's not the guy, I'm going to tell you he's not the guy, and it's up to Coach Kalen DeBoer to put in another player that can tighten up that right tackle position. Because it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, it doesn't matter who the running back is or Ryan Williams or whoever, because if you don't fix the offensive line, specifically at the right tackle position, you are not going to make the playoffs, and that is not going to sit well with the brand of Alabama football. All right? So, look, next play mentality, man. You don't play well, you don't perform well, get back in the lab, get back in the film room, keep working on your craft. And that's how it is. And then on the show, so my voice has been used a couple times in the first 2 episodes. Fox Nation sent me an agreement. I signed with. I'm not getting paid for it. They're just using like little sound bites. And the soundbite that they used on the last episode, I was just like, Ryan Williams. And in this soundbite, it was hilarious because I got texts from people. They're like, yo, I heard your voice. It's cool. So there was 2 horrible takes before this Vanderbilt game. One was by Coach Saban and one was by me. So Coach Saban on game day, he was like, the only place that is not hard to play in the SEC is Vanderbilt. Right? So they had that clip. And then following that clip, like, I don't know, a minute later is me in the background. I'm like, I'd be surprised if Vanderbilt scores 10 points against Alabama. So I don't know whose take was worse, Coach Saban's or mine. But anyways, Vanderbilt, so the docuseries goes through and they're hyped up after Alabama beat Georgia. You remember it. We're like, this is the team we thought they were going to be. Everyone's pumping their chest. And then the next week they go in, ate the rat poison or whatever. And you know what I could tell in the docuseries? That the team, they weren't up for the game against Vanderbilt. They showed like 30 seconds of the locker room. It seemed like stale. And Jamarcus Shepard's trying to get these guys up. They're trying to get fired up. It seems stale. And Vanderbilt put it to him. So those are the things that stood out. So that's kind of where the docuseries started. So 2 docuseries episodes are out. I recommend you go watch it. FoxNation.com. It's called The Tide That Binds. You'll find it once you sign up for FoxNation.com. I haven't watched anything else on Fox Nation. I don't even have time to watch anything. But I did this morning, which is crazy because the morning time is the busiest time of my entire life. But I got it in. All right. So 2 bad takes. You had Saban and then you had me. Happens. Next play mentality, right? Okay, Alabama basketball. Who watched the game last night? These games are late, man. I go to bed early. Alabama 111 points. Mississippi State 73 final. Chris Youngblood poured in 27 points. This guy is fantastic. I didn't know that he was going to be this good. This guy he's elite, right? Mark Sears had 21 as the Crimson Tide shot 48.9% from the three-point land, 22 of 45. It was crazy because this team could not miss from beyond the arc, right? Mo Diabate, 10 points and 11 boards as the Crimson Tide moved to 23-5 and 12-3 in SEC play. That was an absolute spanking. In the last time, Mississippi State, that's a good team. And now, these next couple games, right? You have Tennessee, right? Then you have Florida, and then you have Auburn. So, man, that is a hell of a schedule. SEC, and then you have the SEC basketball tournament. I don't care if Alabama's like a 3, a 2, a 1, a 4. I don't care. And you need Nelson to be healthy, right? 100%. But damn, if Chris Youngblood is going to play like this on the back end of the season, and he's been fantastic. I think Holloway added, what? He had 9 points, something like that. It's amazing how talented this basketball team is under Coach Nate Oates. Love it. People saying that, the Spurs are going to be calling. I don't know. I would imagine that Nate Oates would be interested in like an NBA job down the road. I don't know. I have no idea. I've talked to him like a handful of times. Not about basketball or anything like that. Just some other stuff. He's a really nice person. But I mean, shoot, if the Spurs came calling, who knows? I don't know. I mean, you're talking about the Spurs. You're talking about the NBA. And that's just respect to what he's been able to do here at the University of Alabama. This team can go as far. I believe that this team has all the pieces to make a run at the national championship. It'd be cool. That's one of my ideas, too, is if, depending on how far this team runs, I mean, regardless of it, if they're a Final Four and Elite 8 team, they can honor this team at this, spring modified event, whatever they're going to have. I don't know. Roy, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. Robert, what's going on? Braden, I see you inside the comment box. Nick Carden, what's up, man? All right, you know what today is? It's 2nd and 26, right? February 2nd month, 26th day. Who was at the game? Was anybody at this game? The national title game. I was at this game. Like, personally on this game. I was on the field. I saw this happen. I was on the exact opposite side of the field when Devontae Smith caught this. So this is from Yahoo Sports. At halftime, down 13-0, Nick Saban decided to bench a starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and put in true freshman Tua Tagovailoa. A comeback ensued. When the game went into overtime, the Bulldogs kicked the field goal. When the Crimson Tide got the ball, Tagovailoa took a 16-yard sack. Alabama's kicking woes, remember the kicking woes at that time, were at its peak. And it was now 2nd and 26 to go get the first down. And Tua Tagovailoa fires a shot to Devontae Smith, who was a freshman at the time as well. Freshman to freshman. One of the greatest plays that I've ever seen. Jay Bake, you were at the game? That's what's up. Nick Harden was at that game. You know, it was crazy because I was at that game against Auburn too when Auburn beat Alabama. And watching that playoff selection show, we didn't know if Alabama was going to make the playoffs because they didn't play in the SEC championship game, right? I can still remember it. It was just one of the coolest moments. I mean, that was the first time that I'd ever been to a national championship game. This is the first year I covered the team. We were watching one of the greatest plays in history. Man. West Coastans coming to us from Hong Kong. He was in Bangkok yesterday. Now you're in Hong Kong. You know, I've always been interested with like the topography of Hong Kong. You got like these gigantic skyscrapers like pushed up against like gigantic mountains. I've never been to Hong Kong. T used to live in Hong Kong. All right. So 2nd and 26. It's basically a holiday here. All right. Chris Waltman, what's up, man? You're on Rosemary. Oh man. Lucky dog you, man. Bama haters here. He says, Ryan, Bama fans, the run is over. Bama will be outside of the preseason top 10. 8-4. Worst season ever. Dead, buried, gone. That's what people think. There's a lot of people that think that way. What's up, Bama hater? We hope that you're doing well, though. Bama Pete, what's up, man? West Coastin'. All right. So, look. As you saw yesterday, this is pretty significant news. I was curious to see what Alabama would do. I didn't think they would cancel the A-Day, which is scheduled for April 12th. So this is what we know. A-Day is, I don't even know if it's called A-Day, but the spring game or spring event is scheduled for April 12th. Okay, nothing's changed with that. But Coach Kalen DeBoer, all he said was it's just going to be a modified game. He didn't say event. I said event. So modified game. What does that mean? I have no idea. Is it going to be like flag football? And I say that like not joking because the Pro Bowl is now like a flag football game. USC, Nebraska, Texas, those teams have canceled their spring game because of one thing or another. Mostly tampering, portal, right? The transfer portal's on April 15th. Injuries. Coach Steve Sarkisian said his team's played too many games over the last 2 years, and they have too many freshmen to really play a game, so they don't get much out of it, and he's going to do more like OTAs. So I've asked you this kind of leading up. But do you think that Alabama should have a spring football game? Yes or no inside the comment box. Do you think that Alabama should have a spring football game? I mean, I don't think they should anymore. It doesn't make sense because of this stupid transfer portal window. And as long as this transfer portal window is sitting right behind its actual game, it just makes no sense. But let me hear from you inside the comment box. If you think Alabama should have a spring football game, type Y inside the comment box. If you don't, type no. You got to protect your players. You got to protect your team, the roster, right? All this stuff. In an interview that Coach Kalen DeBoer did with On3's Pete Nakos, says this: we certainly understand the impact of putting things out there for the whole world to see. What that can do, especially related to transfer portal, whether it's a guys in, guys out. I get all that. And I know there's a different reasons for different programs. What's up, Javion? I see you inside the comment box. Straight up, I mean, he's saying that he doesn't want his team to get poached. With bigger programs canceling their spring game or big programs canceling spring game, if Alabama was to go out and have a regular spring game, this is going to be like the most viewed event on TV because people are so starved for college football. They watch college football. They watch Keelan Russell go against Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and then these other programs just sit back with their coaching staff and they're like, hey, let's go after this guy. He's a reserve right now. Let's go out. He could be a starter here. It doesn't make sense. So until college football limits it to just one transfer portal window, which is in January before spring football, don't play your game. And that's it. I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that we would be talking about not having like an actual spring game. But here we are. Like, think about it. Even like 5 years ago, this was like never, ever on my mind. Larry Large is saying just don't televise it, but I still think you still get people, here in watching the game somehow. Coaches could just come over and watch it, I guess. I just never thought we'd be at this point. Kind of like, no, don't have it. Just wild. Because I said this yesterday. Look, if you caught my live last night, I was on for a little bit in the evening time. If you came to the spring game last year, it was like a celebration. It really was. It was a celebration of fans. Like, we got to break bread together. The day was beautiful. It was as beautiful as this day, right? And Alabama football fans, thank goodness, they had gone through a lot with Coach Saban and players leaving, whatever. It was like a day of just togetherness. And now you're not going to have that. And I think even like the city of Tuscaloosa, which thrives off of a day, you're not going to have that. And it will be economic impact for that weekend. There's 100,000 people coming in. What was there, like 75,000 at the game last year? So look, these are my ideas. I was like, look, if you're going to have some sort of modified game or whatever event, I have no idea. These are my ideas. I said, hold the event at night. I've said this for a long time, even before the transfer portal, freaking everybody out. Hold the event at night. Since Bryant-Denny Stadium added these lights and the atmosphere, have it at night. Set the bar really high. Jay Bake's like, just play the game on April 26th. I like that. That's not bad either. Do like the fastest player or the fastest lineman or the fastest coach. Do whatever, right? Have the New Wave podcast right at the 50-yard line. Have Ryan Williams and Jalen Mboumoua at the center of the universe and have them interviewing coaches, have them interviewing people. Bring on former players, celebrities, right? Bring on Jalen Hurts. Imagine Ryan Williams interviewing Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl champ. Do things like that. Like they should have a Rolodex big enough. Have Coach Saban come and talk about why it's continuing to be supportive of Coach Kalen DeBoer and his overall brand. Encourage people to sign up for Yay Alabama, all that stuff. Right? Introduce the players, make a gigantic deal about it, and have Ryan Williams hosting the whole thing. It increases his brand, right? Him and Jalen Mboumoua do their thing. Should it be crazy? Man, this is the space that they want to run in, though, Max. Have the whole crowd sing Dixieland Delight. Have Pat McAfee come down here. Have him and Coach Saban sing a couple songs together. People love that. Build the community. Continue to tell people to support Coach Kalen DeBoer and his staff. Because I think he still needs it, to be honest. But the only thing that's going to save that and fix that is winning on the field. So with that said, let's talk about the Alabama defensive line. We've been running our spring football previews. Next Monday will be Alabama's spring football practice. It opens on Monday. And if you like the content, you like the graphics, you like the delivery, drop a thumbs up. Super chat's appreciated. We're just get inside the comment box. I really appreciate it. These are also uploaded to Apple Podcasts and Spotify later in the day. Starts with winning. Got to win games, period. The Alabama defensive line, we talked about the offensive line yesterday. Tomorrow we'll talk about linebackers, and then on Friday we'll talk about the secondary and special teams. But talking about the defensive line, here's kind of a snapshot of where things stand. Tim Keenan returns. James Smith comes back, played in over 300 snaps. I'll kind of do a spotlight on him. A lot of unknowns, right, with this defensive front. You lose some guys, but there's still a lot of unproven players at this position. That's why I'm asking the question, which defensive lineman, defensive tackle, will really rise up and contribute along with Tim Keenan and James Smith? Look, the season's a gauntlet. Sometimes players go down. Who will be the next guy to step up, right? I'm on a Mboumoua watch. Junior college prospect who came to Alabama. Now he's enrolled, ready to go. I mean, certainly looks the part. So those are going to be the players that we do spotlights on. But here's a defensive line, right? Kind of at an overview. And a defensive lineman, a defensive tackle within this 4-2-5 defense is somebody who's over 300 pounds, right? Big body, stuff to run. You didn't see too much pass rush from this group, but let's see what they can do in 2025. So you got Tim Keenan coming back. You got James Smith. I'm a huge fan of James Smith. I've already said that a million reasons why. We'll do a spotlight on him. I don't really know too much about these players. Edric Hill, Isaiah Fega, Jeremiah Beeman, the new additions, London Simmons, right, class of 2025, and then Steve Mboumoua, who was a member of class of 2025, and then for whatever reason he went to the junior college route, and now he's enrolled. So he's here, and I think he might be a guy who's kind of third off the deck. So let me ask you, and I'm going to do some spotlights on some of these players in just a second. But from this group, outside of Tim Keenan and James Smith, so don't look at Tim Keenan or James Smith, which defensive lineman do you think has enough talent, kind of has a breakthrough spring or 2025 season? Is it Vega, Edric Hill, Jeremiah Beeman? Dylan points out that Jeremiah Beeman was a dog in the Michigan game. So was James Smith. James Smith had an 85 Pro Football Focus grade on defense against Michigan, that back end. But I like that point out, Dylan. Thank you for that. Appreciate it, man. James Smith is a player that I really want to highlight. Played in 310 snaps this last year. Wasn't necessarily a true starter, but he played enough, right? And like I pointed out, he had an 85.3 grade against Michigan. Does he have enough talent to be an impact player this coming year? I'd probably say so. He might be a sleeper that we're really not talking about on the entire defense. I know I've been talking about him a lot. I know you guys watch your other shows, dive into your recruiting sites or whatever. I would imagine they're also talking about James Smith. It's me, Marvin, says doesn't know a lot about London Simmons. Yeah, Simmons came in from the state of Mississippi. I think he was a 3-star, consensus 3-star prospect. Sometimes you can get caught up in the rankings. I don't know. I mean, these guys liked him enough to bring him here. And, I would imagine he provides depth. But, recruiting, whether it's a transfer portal or just natural recruiting, defensive linemen, defensive tackles, I think that's the hardest spot in college football to continue to replenish. And I don't know how Alabama's done in that area. It's hard. There's not a lot of guys that fit that mold. That's a tough position to. That's why it's so important that you do return James Smith and Tim Keenan, right? All right. So, kind of looking at this group overall, I think that one of the players that I'm excited about is right here, Steve Mboumoua, right? Look at this dude. So right here on the left, this from, I think, last season. He was, having some, looks like barbecue with Freddie Roach. And, if you've seen Freddie Roach is not a small individual at all. And Jeremiah Beeman is a big dude. I mean, look at these guys. I think he's right here in these photos, he says he's 200, probably closer to 300 pounds. Look at this. 300. You want to mess with this at 300 pounds? No, thank you. A little bit older, a little bit more mature. I don't know. I think that he could be kind of a breakthrough player. Somebody who I certainly have on my radar. How about you? You kind of feeling the same way? When you look to Alabama's defense, you have Mboumoua kind of circled. I know I do. And I'm watching the other guys for sure. It seems like recruiting analysts and, people who really cover the players and do like a analysis of playing style. It seemed like people were really high on Steve Mboumoua. Looks like an absolute beast. Yeah, so he'll be coming in as a freshman. Yeah. Because he redshirt freshman. Yeah. Larry Larger Green. Yeah, I think so. All right. So here's the Bandit position. And if you're wondering about like the Bandit and defensive tackles, what I wanted to show you is kind of a defensive illustration. So let me walk you through this real quick, because not everybody understands what we're talking about when we talk like defensive tackle or wolf or bandit. So let me kind of stop right here. So I made this graphic for everybody to see. So let's go over this. So the wolf position up top, that's going to be your Quay Rusa, right? That's going to be like your old William Anderson. That's going to be like a Yanze Pierre, a Noah Carter. I don't know if Ebony's on this morning, but this is that position. And we'll talk about this position tomorrow. So this is a player you want to come off the edge and provide heat, like Q Rob last year, wolf position, right? Now, the defensive tackle is going to be like a Tim Keenan, a James Smith. These are going to be your interior defensive linemen, big dudes, like over 300 pounds. You want these guys to be really good against the run, be able to be athletic enough to get after the quarterback. That's why it's such a hard position to recruit at, because there's not a lot of guys who are, 6'2", 330 pounds, whatever, to be able to fill that position. So maybe like a Steve Mboumoua in there as well. Now on this side, you also have in this 4-2-5 defense, you have this bandit position. So the bandit position, he's not going to be as big as these guys, like over 300 pounds, but you're going to have like a LT Overton. We're going to talk about the bandit position right now. But this is a guy who has a lot of athleticism, a lot of speed, kind of like a bigger wolf, if you will, a guy that you want to get after the quarterback, be able to be really good against the run as well. That's why it's so important that Alabama does have LT Overton coming back. So now that you know a little bit about that particular position, and if you followed my show, I'll talk about the positions, in kind of detail. But let's talk about LT Overton coming back. Now that you know, right, where he's playing, which is the bandit position down here, LT Overton, it's really unreal that he's coming back. I thought that he was going to go into the NFL draft. I don't know if he would have been a first or a second round pick. Clearly, Alabama and the university figured out a way to keep him, which is gigantic. If you look at, top 25 college football players returning overall, he's certainly up there. And Dylan, I kind of feel the same way. Dylan points out that you have too many bandits. I kind of agree, okay? Because these are your bandits, and really, it's really one guy that gets the majority of the opportunities. They don't really rotate this position out that much. Plus, why would you take out LT Overton? Show 44, basically. Yeah, it's just a defensive end. That's a really good way to look at it as well, right? So, and you did bring on Kelby Collins, and I wonder if they brought on Kelby Collins not knowing if LT Overton would stay or go, because now you look at kind of this logjam, right? I mean, LT Overton's fantastic. This is probably, your best player returning on defense. Maybe outside of Deontay Lawson, who should be healthy, right? So either way, like one or two, this is the guy. Gigantic, he's coming back. 82.2 Pro Football Focus grade. Elite bandit player. Fantastic. Hard hitter. Really good against the run as well. But what it does is it kind of creates like this log jam for somebody that we've been watching, Keon Keeley. Because, look, I think that these two are probably equal in terms of talent. Keon Keeley and Jordan Renard. And I don't know too much about Kelby Collins, to be honest. I know that he played a little bit at Florida, and then he got beat out by some other guys who were pretty good at Florida, according to Billy Napier. He said that in an article. So let me ask you this. Do you think that we see some of Keon Keeley this year? I mean, if he stays, think about it. He stays, LT Overton's going to go. Maybe Kelby Collins leaves or whatever. He's the guy like next year. But he only played in 5 games. And what's really interesting is he just played 24 snaps his last season. So it's, I don't know. He's somebody I'm watching to like, and it seems like he is happy. I mean, he certainly seems like a team first type guy. I just feel he does have a lot of talent. And remember, when he first came here, he was kind of that wolf position, that outside linebacker. And then he added, I think, 30 pounds over the summertime to become a Bandit. Yeah, and I would say, Larry Large, that he's too small to play defensive tackle. He's perfect size for like, Bandit or edge. I don't know. It's something we're watching. And then please don't forget about Jordan Renard. He's fantastic as well. He's really good. When you watch like some of the B-roll that comes out from the University of Alabama, I'll point him out. He stands out 100%. Dylan points out Womack talking about how excited he is for Q. And I've heard the same thing with from Freddie Roach as well. Some of those interviews. So the guys are excited for him and coaching him up. It's just there's a little logjam right now at the Bandit position, which is understandable. In the old days, this wasn't a problem because guys like Keon Keeley, Jordan Renard, those guys were in the developmental process and they would sit, right? And you could develop those guys. But not in this day of college football because the transfer portal, people slide into DMs. So we'll see what happens with Keon Keeley. I don't know. I'm pulling for the kid. It's an interesting storyline that we continue to track. When you look at the entire defense, I mean, what's not to like about what Alabama has coming back? And tomorrow we'll talk about the inside linebackers. We'll talk about that whoop position. We'll talk about the corners and the overall secondary on Friday as we continue to preview Alabama's defense going into spring football, which will be a start date of next Monday. You'll get some interviews and some B-roll from some of these guys at the University of Alabama, which we're really appreciative of. But the defense overall, I mean, what's not to like about this group? I mean, when Deontay Lawson is healthy here at the middle of the screen, and he'll be healthy by the season, it's a great group. I mean, so much experience here, so much experience on the outside, returning Xavier Brown and Damani Jackson, right? Kind of the wild card is Husky. Keon Sabb coming back, Bray Hubbard coming back, and I just talked about the defensive line. After even talking about the defensive line myself, I feel good about it. I just don't know who's going to be the reserves in terms of like the twos behind Tim Keenan and James Smith. Because I feel really good about Tim Keenan and James Smith just behind those guys. I don't know. We're going to have to see those guys step up. So we'll see. Samuel points out about all the transfers in the secondary. Yeah, we'll continue to talk about that as well. There was so many guys who transferred out. That's why it was amazing that the secondary, kind of grew up at the back end of the season at the right time, right? So, big picture, spring football game is turned into some sort of modified game or event or whatever the hell you want to call it. I have no idea. I'm just hoping it's not like some flag football weird thing. I think you have to change it like to this sort of thing, and that's just changing with college football because everything is off the rails. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. all 105 of you guys today. Thank you so much for watching Bama Football on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Every single show comes from my heart. I know there's a lot of huge shows and gigantic companies that, cover all college athletics, and they do an amazing job. So please support all the content creators out there. And thank you very much for being here today with me as we talked about the Alabama defensive line. But I appreciate you guys. You can hit the rewatch. Sometimes I pop on in the evening time, depending on, kind of the news that's happened. But thanks for rocking with me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Look for us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But just thanks for your support right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Anderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I love you, fam.